All right, so what we're going to do today is learn about automating effects. And just so you think about it, any of the effects that you've been plugging in, like delays or reverbs, chorusing, um, any knob that you can turn on those can be turned automatically via automation, just like you do with the panning automation or volume automation. And any knob that can be turned on an instrument, like the filters on Massive or um, the arpeggiator on Expand or FM8. Anything can be automated. The way I want to introduce it is through what's called a white noise filter sweep. So we're going to go ahead and create a track. Just jump right into it. And this can be on an instrument track or an audio track. And I'm just going to choose instrument for the sake of it. I'm going to turn down my fader also so this doesn't totally bug you right away. I'm going to name this sweep, and I'm going to insert the modulation plugin. No, I'm going to insert, the other plugin called Signal Generator. And that's a sine wave, and it's just generating a signal at 1,000 hertz. That's a square wave, sawtooth, triangle, and we're going to click on the white noise that sounds like what used to be your television when the antenna went out. On top of that, we are going to add the modulation plugin, the vintage filter. And now I think I can raise my volume back up because it won't be quite so annoying. Alright, so this cutoff knob on the vintage filter is what produces the effect. And it's essentially a filter, so anything above 20 hertz in this instance is not getting through. And then as you open these things up, more and more and more and more and more and more. So we want to create that effect, but in an automated way, because we can't sit here with our mouse and just play around with knobs, although it's kind of fun. So how do you automate a plugin parameter in Pro Tools? You come over to this button underneath the word auto, and you click on it. And the way that I like to describe this little window that pops up, it's a menu, and this is essentially the menu of what's available to you to automate. And we're going to make some orders off of that menu and have them come up on the right hand side here. For this demonstration, for this particular effect, all we're going to automate is the cutoff. So we come over, we click on the cutoff, and we say add that to our parameter, our list of automatable parameters. The bypass, for example, that's simply the on-off switch, and you can automate that as well. We're going to automate the cutoff. So we actually haven't done anything yet. All we've done is tell Pro Tools that we would like to automate or have the ability to automate the cutoff parameter on the vintage filter. So we come down to our automation lanes, and just like there's volume and panning available, now, and this would not have been there before, we have the Air Vintage Filter cutoff parameter on our track that's called sweep. So I'm going to choose that so that what we're looking at now is a line that represents that parameter. In fact, I'm going to keep this down here so we can just continually watch this knob here. So if I said I would like this sweep to occur over 2 measures at 92, I'm going to go ahead and place my anchor point right there. I'm going to raise up this line, and then I'm going to put in another anchor point, and I'm doing this by clicking Command and click. And what's going to happen over the course of this time of 2 measures, 4 seconds, this cutoff knob is going to go up and then immediately and abruptly shut down. Alright, so it kind of gives you that sound. I'm going to also, just for the sake of kind of not having it be so dramatically cut off, we are going to add a little reverb so that this tail gets it. Okay, and the reason that's making noise is that where my wherever my cursor is, my playback cursor is literally in the middle of that signal being generated. On its own, this isn't that interesting, but it's a very, very common effect these days, especially in EDM music. So let's just give that a quick listen. All right, so that is how you do a white noise filter sweep in Pro Tools. I'm now going to show you how to apply that to an instrument track so that we don't get caught up thinking that all you can do is white noise filter sweeps. So I have these chords that I already got in here on an electric piano. And while I could do anything, and I probably, now everyone's just going to automate the vintage filter, I'm going to insert the vintage filter. I'm going to tell it again that I would like to cut off or automate the cutoff parameter. Hit OK. I'm going to drop down and get to my cutoff parameter. And what I would like to do is kind of, like, I like what that does. Kind of like open up for each track. And I think right around there, where that midpoint is where I'd like to start. I don't want it to be, that's almost too muffled. Let's 6 something. Okay, and then for each chord, I'm going to raise it. Let's see how that sounds. And then drop down again. And then raise it. Actually, you know what? Worth pointing out. Actually, I will do the drop down though. See if we can just, oops. Take that and copy it or duplicate it. So I'm duplicating my little ramp there and just watch the cutoff knob here. All right, so that is adding the vintage filter automated cutoff to an electric piano. Sounds kind of cool, I think. Let's see, what else can I show you? And hopefully this doesn't totally bomb on us. So I'm bypassing the vintage filter. I'm going to show you something very quickly about Expand, which is the arpeggiator. And I'm just doing this to demonstrate something that you can do. If you click on ARP, it's going to show you an element or a part of Expand that we haven't played with before. And you click on to turn the ARP. ARP stands for arpeggiator. I'm not going to go into a long explanation. I do have a video about it. And I'm going to choose, up and down. Okay, so what that does is, it plays through the chord, basically in an arpeggio. I'm going to come over here and hit automate, because you can automate anything that's available here. And there's a lot. So this is part A, and I'm going to look for part A ARP. I probably should have planned ahead for this. And I'm going to go, I want to change the mode. All right, so it's going to change from this pattern. This is a pattern essentially. It's playing 16th notes. If I wanted to change that to eighths or something, I could do the rate. I'm going to change the mode. I'm actually going to make rate available to me as well, in case I want to play with that. All right, so then I'm coming down and looking at my available parameters, and now Expand is saying you can do that. Go ahead and play with the mode. So right now, this is up and down 2. So if I click in, say, on the third measure, I'm going to change that to something else. Disco bass. I don't know what that sounds like. Actually, it sounds like nothing. Let's see. is the random? Let's try the disco piano or house piano. So this should be 2 measures of up and down 2, and then hopefully it's going to change. It did, but it changed to something that it didn't want to play. Maybe it's because I'm over here. Change it to Latin. All right, so the reason it wasn't working is I had my anchor point starting after the chord had already engaged, so it was going to play nothing. Let me change that back to house piano. Whoa! Fun. Crasholo. All right, well, I actually did everything that I wanted to do. So that is awesome. And I think I'm going down.